Welcome to the President and CEO Focus on the Middle Market podcast series, where President and CEO founder Paul Stukel discusses middle market issues with business leaders from across the nation. Today, in part one of a three-part series, Paul speaks with John Mason, General Manager for IBM Mid-Market, about the rapidly expanding adoption of cloud-based technologies at mid-market companies, and about IBM's virtual event on June 26th, Next Gen Cloud Computing for Mid-Market Companies.
Maybe we could start with you just giving a brief outline as to what that's about, sort of what the thrust is, and what you expect to come out of it.
We try to have a regular dialogue with a number of quote-unquote influencers, because actually people like yourselves tend to have lots of these conversations with vendors like us, but also customers and business partners. So it feels like it's a really useful way of staying connected to the broader ecosystem and picking up on certain signals of where to focus, what's relevant for some of the customers that we're talking to, but we don't have exclusive rights to picking up the signals either. So it's really an opportunity to have a conversation. So listening as well as telling. On the telling side, we continue to make good progress in terms of particularly cloud offerings that I think are very relevant for the mid-market. So this is an opportunity for us to share some of the updates on things like the IBM Cloud Marketplace and the recent acquisitions we've made that are relevant for this space. Companies like Silverpop and Xtify, which have marketing as a service tools, and just generally share some of the latest directions and some of the success stories from some of the customers that we've got agreement to share their experiences as well.
It's obviously just an exploding field, and you actually had mentioned sort of a couple of specific applications. What are you guys seeing in terms of, by you guys, I mean IBM obviously, are you guys seeing in terms of sort of the kinds of applications that are being pursued most aggressively by middle market companies? Because at this point, virtually everything is getting onto the cloud, everything from CRM to infrastructure. And I'm just wondering if there are some sort of clearly delineated trends that you guys are seeing with respect to the applications that appear to be most useful to middle market companies.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're seeing is as we live through this massive shift to cloud, and not just public cloud, but a whole range of private, public, and hybrid cloud implementations of various services, we're actually seeing a shift in the emphasis from the customer towards more front office, what we refer to as systems of engagement, as opposed to systems of record or sort of more back office cost optimization. Obviously, there's still some of that going on, but I'd say the emphasis, particularly in the mid-market, is shifting very rapidly to focus on front office digitization. We did a C-suite study and had a mid-market cut of the data where we took the interviews from mid-market companies, CXOs, and 83% of them said that in the next 3 to 5 years, their main focus will be on front office digitization. So, very significant, I think, shift to ways to engage better with the customer. So that's probably the single biggest that I would point to.
Just on a clarification, because I've heard that from other folks too, that it really is, to put it a different way, it's kind of a top-line focus in terms of deploying these things. It's customer-related, customer-focused, etc. But I wanted to clarify something on that because it's been bothering me. That when you say there's a shift, does that suggest that much of the back-office activity is now sort of already moved to the cloud, or does it just mean that, or does it just mean that everybody's moving their technology budget?
A lot of the back office optimization and cost efficiencies are sort of reaching the point of diminishing returns, whether that's on-premise or off, whether it's cloud or not. It's really, I think, more of a shift of emphasis to where can we drive profit growth, which at this point isn't so much about squeezing more efficiencies and cost out of the system, but rather how can we drive more top-line revenue growth, and how do we do that as a result of a better engagement with the end customer across sort of multiple channels and multiple touch points? How do we use big data analytics to capture more meaningful insights and more targeted actions towards individual customers, not just broad swaths of customer segment? How do we foster more of a collaboration across social networks with various players that are part of our solution, whether it's a partner, a supplier, an employee, or the end customer? And so really, it's more of the outbound, outward-facing connection points and optimizing that experience in the end, primarily for the customer, to drive top-line growth rather than efficiencies in the back office, which I think is really where a lot of the emphasis in IT has been for the last couple of decades.
Be sure to check back for part 2 in this 3-part series. Thanks for listening.